we kind of got off this topic a little bit, but when we were talking about like apps and training plans and stuff, I wanted to ask you what you think the role of like coaching certification courses are in shaping or developing coaches. And how important do you think, I guess a two-part question, how important do you think mentorship is compared to formal education or certifications in shaping and developing a coach?
That's a good question. I'm glad I'm not part
It's
of
it's
that.
loaded. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
loaded.
Glad I'm not part of that world anymore. But I'll put it to like kind of conflicts of interest, I suppose. So I used to be the coaching education coordinator for Athletics Ontario, and I did do some work with Athletics Canada on that front. And I have done
Hmm.
a coaching education certification course that's supposed to be coming out later this year or next year on eating disorders for coaches. And so
That's with USCA, right?
with USCA, yeah. And
Yeah.
so I want to preface that by saying I'm not in totality against coaching education, but I
Hmm.
think, and I pushed for this when I was working with the Canadian scene. Um, Coaching certification is broadly, I'm trying to be really nice here, is broadly not helpful if there's not mentorship. Um,
Hmm.
I think, and I'll explain a couple reasons. One, most elite athletes who come, they don't get coaching certifications, and I don't blame them. They have
Hmm.
marketability, they have a product, they know who they are, et cetera, right? But the
Yeah.
problem with elite athletes, and this isn't me saying it because I'm jealous of not being an elite athlete or anything like that. We've seen this time and time again. Is they look at the world through their lens of what made them good, and it takes a
Hmm.
really introspective and reflective athlete to understand that their view is broadly different than most people, and so that they have to train differently, right? And
Yeah.
so there would be that part on the elite side. On the like regular Joe side, let's say like you, right? Like you ran, you're sub elite, pretty competitive, but never coached, never thought about it, never did certifications or anything, right? It's like,
Hmm.
well, you could just pick up coaching. Like anybody can literally pick up coaching and do
Hmm.
it, right? But if you don't have mentorship, whether you did a coaching certification or not, then,
Hmm.
like I would look at it this way. You can probably get some random certification that says that you understand like biotechnology sciences. Like I'm sure it exists out there, right? But if you do a doctorate in it where you're mentored under the best like PhDs and supervisors in the country or in your school, you're probably going to be better at it, right?
Hmm.
And I know it's really blunt, but it's my honest opinion. And so I think, like, I used to half joke, like, I was very fortunate to be mentored by Steve and some other coaches, for about 10, 11 years before I moved on from Queens. And
Hmm.
I said to Steve, it was like I did a PhD. Like, I sat there for a couple years. I watched everything, I read everything, I did everything, right? And then
Hmm.
eventually, he gave me some athletes to work with, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Then now I'm starting to do the application, right? This is my experiment per se, right? And I was like, okay, well, why don't you coach the junior group? Then I coached junior group. Then I had a couple high performance people, and then I had a couple people post collegiates, and then there was people within the Queens group that I was coaching, and it was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, there's your doctorate. You just spent 4 years doing that, and then you did a bunch of applied research, and then you got some results, and then you presented it over and over again as you had proof to do it, right? And so
Hmm.
I'm not the coach I am today if I would have just done a certification and done a bunch of marketing to say, hey, guess what? I have a certification. And I want to be clear, again, not bashing certification. I think it's a great entry point
Yeah.
for people. But if you're not mentored and mentored by like great people who are willing to share, you will not be as good a coach as you can be. And I think just as we have athletes who want to be as good as they can be, then our athletes are owed it by the coaches to be as good as they can be as coaches. And so that's where I think mentorship plays a role. I think also like even if you just want to be a really good coach, it's like, well, I want to be a really good coach. It's like, okay, well then I should probably learn from the best so I can be a really good coach like them. And I can tell you, like, I would still not know half the stuff I know today, 15 years in, if it wasn't by being mentored and like going
Yeah.
around. And I've mentioned Steve and Kevin, and I was very lucky that John LaFranco at Athletics Canada helped me, Laurier Primo at UBC, and I got to tour around and meet some of the best coaches in the world at
Yeah.
what they do, and like be able to learn and see what sticks across groups and nations and high performers and age groups and all these things. And so it's like if you don't have mentors, like you get access to none of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I remember a couple years ago when you, as my coach and as my mentor, had really encouraged me to get into coaching. And you were like, I think you would relate to a certain demographic, as someone that didn't have the talent side of things, didn't run growing up, but had like I think of it as again like nature versus nurture. Like I have the work ethic, I have the hard work. And not to throw you under the bus, but you're like, you don't really need to do a coaching certification course. Like, you have lived it, you've had a mentor, like you've done the work, like you're in the arena kind of thing. And it's like, no, 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 like I have to do certification, be like for my own, like, I don't know, sanity or well-being or just confidence and having that like not competence. So I did my certification, and spoiler alert, and again, sorry, I didn't find it all that helpful because I had lived it. I had trained for many years. I had you as a mentor, and because you were mentored by Steve, it's like this trickle down effect of seeing, as you said, what sticks across different age groups, different talent levels, different abilities, etc. So I mean, I'm glad I did it to like, hey, I have some credibility behind me, but it's not something I think about every week when I'm writing my training plans for my athletes. So that was kind of a loaded question because I know we, like, again, it's seeing it from both lenses, but, and it's really nice. Like, yes, we are fortunate to live in the same household. So if I have a training question, even however many years into my own coaching practice, it's like, I'm asking you, like, we share ideas, we bounce workouts off one another. And so I think that, yeah, that mentorship piece is really, just like critical. Like, yeah.
Again, I'll extend the argument. Like, you look at I don't know the certification status of any of these people, but I don't think Jerry Schumacher coaching BTC or Mike coaching Grant or Mike Smith coaching Nico Young and now the Nike group is like, oh, he got hired because he did his USATF level 3, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, he got hired because he's freaking good at his job, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I just think I had this conversation years ago when I was doing it, and it was like the generation before us never needed certifications and became really good, right? And now it's kind of like the cost of entry, I would say. It's like a social proof point, but it doesn't mean you're actually good at your job. So yeah, I know. I don't know. That's probably one of my harsher takes, I suppose. So you pulled that one out.
Don't.
Good job. But I don't know.
Sorry.
See what happens.
No, and something you said earlier in the call is like coaching the person and coaching the athlete, like not necessarily here is the one build, the one workout, the one plan to get this time. It's like there's no one perfect workout. It's how is it applied to the person in a larger context.